by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
After a plane crash in California kills everyone on board, first responders are still calling the situation a miracle. I'm Laura Podesta with details on the crash and ongoing investigation.
And closer to home, a memorial service will be held today for two members of the Anderson family involved in a boating accident on the Yellowstone River.
6:30 on this Monday. Chell and Missy O'Malley with you. We'll have that story plus all of today's headlines in a moment. Our top story this morning, however, 5 people dead after a plane crashed outside Los Angeles in the city of Santa Ana.
Now, as CBS's news correspondent Laura Podesta reports, the death toll could have been much higher.
Video of Sunday's plane crash in Orange County, California shows a small plane in pieces in the middle of a parking lot. All 5 people on board the Cessna 414 were killed.
I saw the plane come around and I realized it was going to probably come down, and then I thought, okay, maybe they're going to John Wayne. And it just banked, it turned, and just came straight down.
The Federal Aviation Administration says the pilot declared an emergency before crashing about a mile from John Wayne Airport. This dashcam video captures the image of the plane nose-diving to the ground. It ended up hitting an empty parked car outside a Staples store and a CVS pharmacy.
Fortunately, that person was inside the store shopping at the time of impact.
Fire Captain Tony Bomarito said the fact no one on the ground was killed was nothing short of a miracle.
I don't know anything about what this pilot did or what he was thinking, but it could have been much more tragic.
Investigators are still trying to determine what caused the plane to crash. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Now, the plane is registered to a San Francisco-based real estate company, according to the FAA database. A phone call to the company, which was called Category 3, was not immediately returned.
More coming up at 7 o'clock on that plane crash. Right now, meteorologist Matt Elwell joins us. Kind of a chilly start to a warm week, if I've surmised what you've been saying.
Pretty well took my thunder. Thanks a lot. Speaking of thunder, we're not going to see a lot of that either. Temperatures this morning a little cool, as Chet was alluding to. 28 degrees in West Yellowstone this morning. That's
so
fine.
You're telling me
how
I
do you
took
do?
your thunder and kept it.
And kept it, yeah. So you can blame Chet this time instead of me. Temperatures right around the 80-degree mark for the afternoon. Look for hazy skies, light wind, but the temperatures won't be bad today. You look at the extended headlines. It is going to be turning warmer this week with an extended dry period, and we're going to be talking about air quality concerns probably for days and weeks to come. We'll talk about that, of course, coming up here in just a few minutes.
The graphic could have just said August in southwest Montana, and we all would have understood what you were saying,
totally.
Unfortunately. We're going to shift gears here just a little bit. Federal aid and help from across the globe are on their way this week for crews battling the California wildfires. White House just approved a disaster declaration for Shasta County, where the Carr fire is continuing to burn through homes and through property.
Meanwhile, the Mendocino Complex fire has exploded to nearly 230,000 acres. Meanwhile, the Ferguson fire burning near Yosemite has claimed another fire-related death. Kim Hutcherson has a closer look.
He died protecting people he never met, their homes, their most cherished possessions.
A moving tribute to the latest victim of the more than 17 monstrous fires blazing out of control in California. Captain Brian Hughes was part of an elite group of hotshots battling the Ferguson fire near Yosemite. This weekend, that 3-week-old fire moved into the park, forcing rangers and employees to evacuate during peak season.
We've had fires before, we've had evacuations before, but to have this extended period of just this inversion layer of just hazardous, unbreathable air, it takes its toll.
Meanwhile, north of San Francisco, a massive pair of fires called the Mendocino Complex fires have exploded in size.
This has been a challenging and deadly fire season just in the month of July.
Farther north in Shasta County, people near the Carr fire began returning to their homes. The fire there has killed 7 people and destroyed more than 1,000 structures.
And this has been the largest and most destructive fire in Shasta County history, and I believe about the 6th in California.
On Sunday, the White House approved a disaster declaration for Shasta County, fast-tracking federal aid. Help is also pouring in from all over the world.
We're bringing resources in, as was said, from a number of different states, 2 countries. Firefighters from New Zealand and Australia will be arriving in Reading on Monday.
I'm Kim Hutcherson reporting.
Thousands of firefighters are working long shifts in triple-digit heat, dry air up to 30-mile-an-hour winds. Meanwhile, parts of Yosemite will stay closed until further notice. Wow.
Back here at home, the search for missing teen James Anderson, who was last seen when his family's boat capsized on the Yellowstone River, continues. But a memorial service being held today for James and his mother Angie, who was killed on the scene. Services begin at 11 o'clock with a reception following at Christ the King Lutheran Church in Bozeman. Now, with a large crowd expected, the service will also be streamed at the Spring Hill Presbyterian Church on West Babcock.
And the Virginia Creek fire burning west of McAllister has grown to 30 acres as of this weekend. The fire is currently 0% contained, and 47 total personnel from Beaverhead, Deer Lodge National Forest, and Madison Valley are all working to control it. The fire is located close to 5 miles west of McAllister in the Virginia Creek drainage. Crews suspect the fire was lightning started.
Also, crews took a big step forward this weekend in improving the heating system for the Montana State Capitol. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian was there as a new boiler was brought in.
On Friday, a crane lifted 9,600-pound boilers high into the air so they could be installed at the State Capitol Complex's main boiler plant. It's part of a $2 million project to upgrade the heating system.
We're replacing the 2 boilers that were installed in 1968 in the main plant, and what we're doing is replacing them today with 3 newer, more efficient boilers.
The boilers will provide heating for the Capitol and several nearby buildings. General Services Administrator Steve Biomonte says the old ones lasted about 20 years longer than they were expected to.
Had we had a catastrophic failure of those boilers in the middle of winter, per se, that's 23% of the Capitol complex that would lose its heat source, so that would create irreparable damage.
Instead of steam, the new boilers use heated water.
It will actually save about 1 million gallons of water per year.
This is one of 2 major facility improvements General Services is focusing on this year. They've also worked to bring several locations, like the South Oval of the Capitol, into compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
By meeting ADA, it makes it a much safer, more accessible campus, really for everyone.
Biomonte thanked the people who've been affected by these infrastructure projects for their patience.
It's been a tough summer with a lot of infrastructure taking place, and we just appreciate their patience as we try to make the Capitol a safer, better place to be.
In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Now, leaders say they have already installed this type of boiler in other buildings at the Capitol complex, and they've seen much improvement from those installations. So, good news there.
Very good news there.
Yeah.
Love that.
Meantime, this week under the big sky, customers of Headframe Spirits and Butte are passionate about the brand and the community that it represents.
Owners John and Courtney McKee believe it's what led to their initial success. The owners hope to ensure that the passion stays with the people who care, and mostly the long after they're gone.
Under the Big Sky is sponsored by Rocky Mountain Vein Clinic and Markovich Real Estate.
In the first year we were open, we got this call from a liquor store in Memphis, Tennessee. It's like, why do people keep bothering me about you? And I was like, I don't know, what are you talking about? Once a week, this guy comes in and asks me if I have head frame yet. He's sort of a jerk about it. And I said, all right, well, where's he from? And he says, he's from some place called Butte, America. And that right there, to me, really encapsulated initially what I think a lot of our rollout strength was about. When the expats, Butte expats, go out in the world, they're fiercely proud of where they came from. They want to share with their friends who don't know anything about Butte. They'll say, look at this bottle, and they'll tell the story of the Never Sweat or the Kelly or the head frame itself or Butte or the story that they had as a kid in Butte. People don't buy our brand because John and Courtney. They don't buy it because McKee Whiskey. They buy it because of Butte, America. They buy it because of the history on the bottle.
It's critical to us that when we are no longer at the helm of Headframe, that the passion for the company and the value that it creates stays right here in Butte.
One of the things we've been very public about almost since day one is that our exit strategy, provided it ever had any value, is to sell this place to the employees. This is their company. We're just along the way helping make sure it gets there. Our fans and our customers believe in us, and they tell our story, and they buy bottles, and they get people to buy bottles, and we just take that very seriously, that we got to keep honoring what they're doing.
Now you can watch the entire Headframe Spirits story at underthebigsky.com. I love their story.
It's a great story. No, it's a good story.
It's so cool.
Absolutely Classic Butte story, success story.
I love it. We do have to take a quick break, but we want you to stay with us. In a moment, we look at an unlikely adoption story out of the Lewis and Clark Humane Society, how Tony found his forever home.
It's a great story. First, let's check in with Gail King, however, see what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, we're on the scene of a deadly plane crash in a busy California strip mall. Why firefighters say it's a miracle nobody on the ground was hurt. And doctors out this morning with a new warning about screen time for your kids. Dr. Tara Narula is here with the findings on that. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.